lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? We want to look at slopes. Well, number one, these are in y equals mx plus b, or slope-intercept form. This one has a slope of 3. This line also has a slope of 3. These are parallel because the slopes are equal. Number two, again, we're in slope-intercept form. This has a slope of 1/2, y equals mx plus b. This has a slope of 2. Well, those are reciprocals, but perpendicular lines have slopes that are negative reciprocals. So in number two, these are neither parallel or perpendicular because my slopes aren't equal and they're not negative reciprocals. Number three, you got to be careful. If I were to graph number three, I think that's the best way to look at this. Y equals 2 is your horizontal line going through the y-axis at 2. X equals 9 is a vertical line going through the x-axis at 9. Well, a vertical line and a horizontal line are going to be perpendicular to each other. So I know these are perpendicular. But perpendicular lines are supposed to have slopes that are negative reciprocals. Well, we remember that the slope of a horizontal line is 0. So the slope of this horizontal line is 0, and the slope of this vertical line is undefined. Is 0 the negative reciprocal of undefined? The answer is yes. You could write 0 as 0 over negative 1. Well, if 0 over negative 1 is 0, the negative reciprocal of that would be a negative 1 over 0. Positive instead of negative. So the negative reciprocal would be positive 1 over 0, which is undefined. So it does fit this idea of perpendicular lines have slopes that are negative reciprocals. I would rather think of that as a vertical and a horizontal are going to cross and be perpendicular. What about number 4? The line through negative 2, 6, and 8, 1, and the line through 4, 3, and 6, 2. Well, I need to know the slope of both lines before I can decide if they're parallel or perpendicular. So I'm going to use my formula here. The slope of the first line would be the y, 6, minus the second y, 1, over the x, negative 2, minus the other x of 8. 6 minus 1 is 5, negative 2 minus 8 is negative 10, which gives me a slope of negative 2. The slope of the other line, I need to know that as well. So that would be the y of 3 minus the other y of 2 over the x of 4 minus the x of 6. 3 minus 2 is 1. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. Which, again, negative 2 and negative 1/2 are reciprocals. However, they are not negative reciprocals of each other, so this is neither parallel or perpendicular. They're not the same, and they're not negative reciprocals. Well, I could ask you to find the equation of the lines that I'm talking about. So number 1, let's write this in slope-intercept form. We're going to write everything in slope-intercept form, or y equals mx plus b. In number 1, I give you the slope, and it goes through the point negative 2, 5. So if I were to write this, y equals the slope of 2 times x plus the y-intercept of b. What I don't know is where it crosses the y-axis. But what I'm given is an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate. I can take those values and substitute them into the slope-intercept form and calculate what the y-intercept is. If y is 5, when x is negative 2, then this should come out to give me the y-intercept of b. So 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, plus b is 5. I'm going to add the 4 to both sides, and I'm going to get 9 is equal to b. If I'm finding the equation, my answer would not be 9, but y equals the slope times x plus the y-intercept. Number 2 asks for a vertical line through 0, 9. Vertical and horizontal lines I like to sketch. If it's a vertical line through 0, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I have a vertical line going down through the y-axis. Well, that's hitting the x-axis at 0. So the equation of that line is x equals 0. The equation of any vertical line is going to be x equals whatever that x coordinate is. That's the equation of my vertical line. Number 3, I'm given 2 points instead of a slope. All that means is I need to figure out what the slope is and do this like example number 1. The slope would be 7 minus negative 3 over negative 2 minus 3, which gives me 10 over a negative 5, which is a slope of negative 2. So if I write that in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, in goes my slope of negative 2, and all I have left to find is the y-intercept. Here's an x, here's a y, here's an x, here's a y. It doesn't matter what I choose, but I want to use the x and y that go together when I substitute in. So I'm going to take negative 2 and drop it in for x, and I'm going to use 7 and substitute it in for y. So 7 should equal negative 2 times negative 2 when I have that y-intercept. So I solve this for b. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4, plus b should equal that 7, so 3 should equal my y-intercept. So my equation would be y equals my slope of negative 2 times x, and then positive 3 was my y-intercept. Example number 4, same idea as number 1, except this time I threw in the part about parallel. Parallel means same slope. So if I want to be parallel to a line y equals 2x plus 1, the slope of this line is 2, which means the slope of my line is going to be the same. So I start just like I did the other examples, y equals mx plus b, but I know my slope is going to be 2. So the whole task is to find the y-intercept. Well, I'm given a point that it passes through, so I can use this x and this y in my equation. So 2 should equal 2 times 5 plus b, calculate my y-intercept. So 10 plus b should equal 2, that means negative 8 must equal my y-intercept. So the equation that passes through that point and is parallel to this line would be y equals 2x minus 8. Last example, if I want something that is perpendicular to, then I know that I need negative reciprocals as my slopes. So my first task is to find the slope of the line that I want to be perpendicular to. Well, my slope is not going to be 2. I have to put this in slope-intercept form. So I would say 3y is equal to negative 2x plus 1. Divide everything by 3, and I get negative 2/3 x plus 1/3. So the slope of the line that I'm perpendicular to is negative 2/3, which means my slope needs to be the negative reciprocal of that. So the reciprocal would be 3/2, and the negative of a negative would be positive. So my slope is going to be 3/2. So y equals mx plus b, which means y equals my slope of 3/2 times x plus b. Again, the reason you are given a point that the line passes through is so you have an x value and a y value that you can use to find the y-intercept. So I substitute in 3 for y, negative 1 goes in for x, and I calculate the y-intercept. Negative 1 times 3/2 is negative 3/2 plus b equals 3. Don't reach for your calculator, make a common denominator. I'm going to have 3 plus 3/2 equals my y-intercept when I move that over. 3 over 1 has a common denominator of 2, so I'm taking 6 over 2 plus 3 over 2, which is 9 over 2 for my y-intercept. Leave your y-intercepts as improper fractions. I don't want mixed numbers. I don't want decimals.